Hello and welcome back to Viralstyle Academy. Again, my name is Luke Stassi. I am your host through our video training series teaching you how to learn the business of selling t-shirts online through Facebook, through your website, through your blog, and other platforms. We are here to teach you step by step how to do this, how to make money off of it. And in this video, what we're going to be covering, we call this Audiences 101, Finding Your Audience. So we're really trying to help people as they're getting started here. You may have a t-shirt design already in mind. Oftentimes you do. That's why you might even be considering getting into the business of selling t-shirts online. And we are here to help you learn how to be successful in this business. And in order to do that, you need to approach learning in the beginning in the right order, rather than just winging it or trying to figure it out on your own. What you'll end up doing is spinning your wheels ineffectively, because you're going to be running ads on Facebook, and to do pieces of it without understanding other pieces that are vital to the success of selling t-shirts in mind. So there is a business phrase out there. It's called beginning with the end in mind. And we're going to talk about that first. So what that means to begin with the end in mind is that you have to think about the final product or the final steps before you even begin the first steps, so that you know where you're headed, what you're doing, where you're going. So in regards to t-shirt sales online, to begin with the end in mind is to begin to think about your audience first, rather than think about your design first. And so I'm going to explain what that means here throughout this course and really help you to understand 101 intro, what are audiences, and how to look at that first. So we're going to step back, beginning with the end in mind, and ask the question, why the audience first? Why are you going to focus on the audience rather than the design? To start out, we need to define some language for you that we're going to be using here throughout Viralstyle Academy, so that we all understand what we're talking about and that you're tracking with us and you can use the same language as us. So first and foremost, we're going to teach you the word niche, because you're going to hear this a lot. And you say, what is a niche? What does that really mean? And by definition, a niche is a distinctive segment of a market. To make that in plain language, what that really means is these are people it's a group of people that are all interested in the same thing. So you got to ask, so why are we starting with the niche or the audience? Those are two words that we're going to use interchangeably because they're both referring to the same thing. You need to start with the niche first because you need somebody to buy your t-shirt. You may have an idea that you think is a great idea, but if you can't figure out who to sell this to, then you're not going to have any success in your attempts to sell that t-shirt. That's why we have to begin with the end in mind and ask ourselves the question of who is going to buy the t-shirt? Who are the people that are out there? Who would actually be interested in a t-shirt that you would design? And I would recommend that you get this in your mind of asking that question before you even start thinking of design ideas. I always am thinking, before I create any design, who is it that I'm trying to market this to? Who are these types of people? What are they interested in? What do they love? And then I'm trying to create a design specifically for those people. So I don't start with a design in mind first. I start with thinking who my niche is first. To explain that a little bit more here, I'm going to outline, this is a concept that I've put together that I call the t-shirt success matrix. And in my opinion, this is something that I use to make decisions every single time that I'm putting forward a t-shirt campaign. I'm assessing it according to this t-shirt success matrix to determine if it makes sense for me to do this or not. And I've found now in 2 years in this business, when these things align together, it is the absolute determining factor of whether or not your shirt is going to be successful. So the first part in the t-shirt success matrix, the first circle is the niche itself, which we've just defined for you. The niche is a group of people, an audience of people that all have a shared hobby, a shared interest, or it might be they all have the same type of job or extracurricular activities, or they may all be fans of the same thing, or it may be a demographic thing like women that are into a certain thing, or grandparents, or whatever it is. The niche is the target of people that are the ones who would be buying your product. So the second circle in this matrix is targeting, and we're going to get into this in a lot more detail throughout this course, but I'm just introducing it to you now so you can begin to understand as we get further down the road how all of this ties in together. So the targeting is specifically how you are finding the people within your niche and putting an ad or an offer in front of them. So we're going to be teaching predominantly the method of Facebook advertising, because that is the most successful platform that people are using right now to sell t-shirts online. So to briefly touch on what that looks like, the targeting is the specific people that you would be putting your offer in front of. So it's different than the niche itself is the overall group of people. The targeting is how you're getting good at finding those people and putting the right thing in front of them. And then the third circle that is part of the t-shirt success matrix is the design itself. And again, we'll go into much more detail into this later, but your design has to be a design that people actually like, that they would actually want to buy. And we're going to go through how to determine if your idea is a good idea or not, and also where to find good ideas, where to find inspiration. And when you bring all of these three things together, the intersect between the three circles right here is where sales happen, is when you have a niche of people that are very passionately interested about something and they want to buy t-shirts about that specific thing, intersecting that with the targeting of where you're advertising to them and putting the right ad in front of the right people, intersecting that with the design that sales. When all of those three things come together in the t-shirt success matrix, that's where sales happen, and that's where lots and lots of sales can happen. But if any one of these things is off, if your targeting is off, you're going to lose sales. If your design is not a good design that will sell, that people want to buy, you're going to lose sales. If your niche is off, if it's a niche that don't buy t-shirts through the internet, then you're going to lose sales. And if all three of these are off, you're not going to sell anything. So you always have to ask yourself, I'll go into this a lot more in detail later, but I want to put this in front of you for you to begin to learn this. This is an essential part to finding success in selling t-shirts online, as you have to learn this t-shirt success matrix: niche plus design plus targeting equals sales. So to continue talking about what is a niche and go into it a little more detail, a niche is a group of people that absolutely love something. They're totally into it. Okay, so I want to make that clear. They can't just be a little bit interested in it. They have to be really interested in it. And one of the questions that I always ask when I'm assessing a niche in the beginning is, would these people be willing to get into an argument about whatever this thing is? Would they argue with somebody to prove a point? Because if they are willing to argue with somebody about it, it shows that they're really passionate about it. And if people aren't really passionate about it, then why would they want to buy a t-shirt for it? I mean, that's the honest question that you have to ask yourself. So if you can think, for example, a really easy one to understand is sports and sports teams. And obviously, in order to run a campaign that has anything to do with a sports team, you can't on Viralstyle infringe on copyright. You can't infringe on their trademarks or their phrasing or their team players' names, etc. And we'll teach you more on that as we get down the road here. But just to use sports as an example, I mean, I grew up in Chicago, and people in Chicago are die-hard Chicago Bears fans. And if you see a Green Bay Packers fan walking down the street, you'll get into an argument. You may even get into a fight with somebody over them wearing a Green Bay Packers jersey. And that just shows you this is a group of people that is die-hard interested in something. They're die-hard interested in the Chicago Bears. So that's just a brief example, but you can, I'm sure, sit back and think, what are some things that people would argue about? Politics, their jobs, their hobbies, whatever it is. If they're willing to argue about it, then it could potentially be a really good niche. So again, this can be a job. You know, you can find these people, it might be engineers, it could be nurses, it could be mechanics, any other number of jobs that are really into their job, but don't pick a job that people aren't so into that they would get an argument about it. I mean, I have never once seen a t-shirt selling that is geared towards somebody who's a fast food cashier, because frankly, most fast food cashiers aren't going to love their job so much that they'd want to wear a t-shirt about it. But there are certain jobs out there that people do love, and like firefighters and police officers and nurses, that they take such pride in the work that they do that they like wearing a t-shirt about their job because it is a part of who they are. It's how they identify themselves. It's what they take pride in, what they share with their friends and their family about what they do. So this can also be hobbies, you know, like dirt biking, horseback riding. It could be hunting or fishing, something that people are really interested in as a hobby, that it becomes a part of their identity and who they are. Because the reality is that if you're trying to sell them a t-shirt, it needs to be something that they resonate with. It has to be something that they identify with, something that they would look themselves in the mirror and say, yeah, that's me. I really am that thing, or I really am interested in that thing. So much so that they would be willing to spend money to buy a t-shirt on it and wear it around for their friends to see, for their family to see. And so you want to find people that you're going to elicit the reaction that if you put a shirt out to them, that they would say, man, I love that. I need it. I want it. Whatever one of those things would be. But that's the idea behind a niche. So I'm going into detail here because it is so crucial when it comes to selling t-shirts online that you find some people that are extremely passionate about something. thing. If you're finding people that are lukewarmly passionate or mildly interested, they're not going to be willing to spend money on buying a t-shirt about it, and you're not going to have success in the sales. So that's a very broad stroke idea and understanding of a niche. And so some examples of what niches are, for one, is maybe people that you referred to before that they love German Shepherds. So you would be trying to create a design that is specifically for people that love German Shepherds, and then you'd be targeting people that specifically love German Shepherds in the niche of people that love German Shepherds. So all those things in the t-shirt design matrix would be all lining up together. Another example I mentioned before, engineers. They are often very proud of the work that they do. They've gone through a very extensive education to become a successful engineer. Another area you could target would be something like female marathon runners. And it's often good to think in terms of, can you narrow an audience or a niche into a specific gender or age group, because it allows you to create a design specifically for them. So you could create a shirt of a woman that was running and have some sort of catchy phrase that went with it, and you might be able to market that to women who run in marathons. Another idea would be grandmothers. Again, so we're taking people here now that aren't just grandparents, but specifically looking at grandmothers, and you'll see shirts out there that are designed specifically for nanas or mimis or grams, and they're identifying with one specific name that they go by, and their grandkids are calling them Nana. So they would like to buy a t-shirt about being a Nana because it's part of their identity. It's a part of who they are, and they love it so much. Another example would be something like moms who love math. Interestingly enough, you see a lot of shirts out there that do really well of people that are into math, or there's clever math puns or funny math graphic that is put together that if you're really interested in math, or if you're a math teacher, if your job has to do with you using math on a regular basis and whatever that looks like, that if you created a shirt for these people, they may be interested in it. And then you can also create something specifically for moms who are into math. And I don't know what that would be, but it's just an idea of how you finding a pocket of people. Often, a mom is going to be very passionate about being a mother. And if she's also very passionate about math, if you brought the two together, she might really love your design. So in narrowing your focus in regards to your niche, there's 5 points that our Viralstyle team has suggested that you need to ask yourself and trying to consider if it's the right niche, and you're basically vetting this niche to determine, is it a good one to pursue. So the first one of these is approachability. And that's asking the question of, are people proud to buy something related to this specific niche? And is it like a feel-good niche? So obviously grandparents, that's a feel-good thing right there. They love being a grandparent, and they would be proud to be a grandparent. So that would meet the check mark of being approachable. But there may be other niches out there that people might not really just be that proud of, or that just care that much about to put on a t-shirt and wear a t-shirt for. So you got to ask yourself that question. The next point is it up and coming, and is it here to stay? What that means is, are there a lot of people that are necessarily interested in this specific topic? And is it going to be around for a while, or is it just a hit and run thing that people may not be interested in a few months? So obviously back to the idea of grandparents or engineers. If you're an engineer, that's your profession. So obviously that's not going anywhere. They're going to always be engineers. There's always going to be engineers. That would be a niche that has a great longevity to it, because you're always going to find more and more new people. You're going to find college graduates becoming engineers that you can market to. So that is definitely a niche that would be here to stay. The next question, are there a lot of people on social media? And asking yourself, would these people be willing to share the idea with their friends? And could this possibly go viral on social media? So what that means is, are you able to find them out there? Are you able to find a lot of engineers on Facebook? Are you able to find a lot of grandparents? And can you put an idea in front of them that they would be willing to share? And if they shared it, would they have friends that would be interested in it too? So obviously some things are going to be more likely to go viral than others. For example, back to the engineer idea, if you're targeting college students who are majoring in engineering, likely they're going to be surrounded by many other hundreds or even thousands of college students that are also majoring in engineering, depending on what school they're at. So if you could put a design in front of them, they may share that design, and hundreds of their friends who are also going to be engineers may see it as well. They may also tag their friends that are engineers, and their friends will see it. So there'd be a massive potential there for them to put it out. Covering the point of, are there a lot of people on social media, and would these people share it with their friends? You have to think through with your niche and the group that you're looking at. Ask yourself the question, are there a lot of them that have gathered online? Are there Facebook groups? Are there Instagram pages? Are there pockets of them in different places, blogs, forums, other things online where these people have gathered? Are there a lot of them that already are identifying themselves on social media? And is there the potential that they may have many other friends that are interested in the same specific niche, that if they shared it, their friends would also be able to see it on social media? So using the example of engineers. So let's say, for example, you targeted college students that were engineers, and you have to think that a college student who's an engineer is going to be in school with many other dozens, maybe hundreds of college students that are also engineers, and they may be connected in with online engineer clubs, engineer groups, engineer forums. They're going to be very into it because they're living it, they're breathing it. It is what they're going to be doing for a living. So if you put an ad in front of a college student who was an engineer and it was a clever t-shirt about being an engineer, it's very likely that they could share that on Facebook, and that many dozens or hundreds of people who are also in school to be engineers would see the same thing. So there would be a high potential there for it to get viral traction and to have that massive social media kind of snowball effect, which is the ideal situation when you're doing any online marketing. Fourth point here in the 5 points in narrowing our focus is, will the audience want to buy a t-shirt? Are they interested enough? Do they already buy t-shirts? And I cannot emphasize enough here that, in my opinion, this is absolutely the most important part of the puzzle when you are vetting a niche to determine if you should start trying to sell a product to them or not. Because the reality is that some people buy tons of stuff online, and some people don't ever buy things online. So you have to figure out that even though they may be super passionate and they may be meeting all of our other criteria for a niche, they may be getting arguments about it, they may be here to stay, they may have social media influence, but the reality is, are they currently buying products online in regards to that niche? And would they buy t-shirts in regards to that niche? So now I want to encourage this and stress this, particularly for people who are new to trying to sell t-shirts online. You have to pick niches that are already buying t-shirts. Once you get better at this game and you understand all of the principles that we're teaching here in Viralstyle Academy 101, then I would encourage you can start testing and trying other niches that may not have a strong online buying presence right now. But I would say there is no point in trying to pioneer new waters if you don't know how to steer the ship, and if you don't know what direction you're headed in, if you don't know how to read the compass. You just don't have the skills when you're first getting started to determine how you can pioneer something new. So in the beginning, you need to determine, do they buy t-shirts online? And the easiest way to figure that out is you just start Googling, start searching, start seeing, are there already shirts being sold out there for these groups of people? And if you only come across a handful, then I would suggest you try to look and find another niche. But if there are a bunch of them out there, if there may be dozens or hundreds or sometimes even thousands of t-shirts being offered to that niche, then you know for a fact that niche buys t-shirts online, and you can rest assured that if they're already doing it, they'll do it again. You know, there's a basic psychological statement that says that the best indicator of future behavior is present behavior. So for this particular thing in regards to niches, to determine the future behavior of buying t-shirts, you have to see if their present behavior is buying t-shirts, and use that to determine if you're going to pursue them or not. And then the last thing, the fifth point in narrowing your focus is, can you sell them other products like mugs or jewelry? Would they be interested in this other stuff? And again, you're going to determine that by seeing, are they buying it already? Is it already being offered? Is it already out there? Are they already buying other stuff? Or is there a limited scope of what they're actually buying online? You know, just for example, let's say someone was into kayaking. Maybe they're going to buy kayaking gear online, but are they going to buy a kayaking t-shirt? Are they going to buy a kayaking mug? And to figure that out, you see if you can find anybody else that's already selling it and having success, and then you'll know, hey, they're able to do it. That means somebody out there is buying it. So that means that you can try to sell it to them as well. And I would encourage you, don't initially get intimidated by, oh, if somebody else is already selling it to them, then that means that I can't. That's not really true. If you can get good enough at your marketing, the targeting side in the t-shirt success matrix, you can beat anybody else that's out there. I've done it time and time again, and I'm going to teach you how I target so that you can do the same thing. So the next question you have to ask yourself in determining this niche is, who would wear it? How do you find these groups of people? Are there clubs? Are there online groups? Are there forums? How do you pinpoint them? And I'm not going to go into very specific detail in this video because we've already covered a lot, but I just want you to start brainstorming, asking yourself, how do I find them? Where would I find them? Where might they be gathering together? What groups might they be in? What websites might they be visiting? I want to plant that thought in your brain. We'll cover it in more detail here as we get further on in Viralstyle Academy as we teach the targeting, but begin to think about that process. And then asking yourself the question, what is the most important? So again, just to emphasize this, the niche has to be people that would spend money online on a t-shirt, and your indicator to decide if that they're going to do that is if they're doing it already. So I would encourage you to start thinking of some ideas, start thinking of some niches that are buying t-shirts online. Maybe make a list of people that you've come across, and then you can say, hey, you know, are these ones to do or ones not? So as we wrap up this 101 video on audiences and niches, I want to leave you with a challenge. And here's what I want you to do. Take a few minutes and I want you to brainstorm 10 ideas of niches that you think would buy t-shirts. So start with that specific one, because it's the most important one. And then you can run through the other factors that we listed here in this video to try to determine if these might be 10 good ones or not. But try to think of 10 niches that you think are going to buy t-shirts and that are already buying t-shirts online, and make a list of them. And then what I want you to do is, after you get 10, I want you to narrow down to your top 5 that you are most interested in. So look over those top 5 and again, compare it against the different points we've listed in this video as far as how you can determine if it's a good audience or not. And then I want you to pick your 3 favorites of these 5. And these, I would say, would be your first 3 niches that you should start trying to market to. So that's the challenge as we wrap up here. Audiences 101 on Viralstyle Academy. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.